Humanitarian crisis, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, like Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, also known in the English-speaking world as Doctors Without Borders, struggle to provide medical assistance to those who are displaced or threatened. In the emergency departments of our nation, the medical staff stands ready to provide care for anyone, anytime, regardless of ability to pay or the nature of their ailment. The ER serves as a safety net for many in our communities who suffer from acute illness, trauma, or untreated medical problems. During my years of work abroad, I've found that the international aid community, a web of NGOs, United Nations, UN, agencies, and governmental departments, provides a similar safety net. Conflict and disaster affect many more civilians than soldiers and often lead to high mortality rates, particularly in infants and children. The unchecked spread of preventable infectious diseases like measles and diarrhea drives high death rates in refugee and malnourished populations. War and displacement have predictable and devastating effects on health. In these contexts, humanitarians provide the rapid, large-scale aid that is critical for stabilizing populations and providing the first step toward recovery and resilience. What the emergency room is to Detroit, Chicago, and Baltimore, humanitarian medical relief is to the world's crisis zones. The problems and threats created by a humanitarian crisis require specialized and nuanced skills that are distinct from those employed in long-term development pursuits like agricultural projects and public health programs. Humanitarian medicine is a unique field with a specific base of knowledge and, much like emergency medicine, requires a specialized skill set. While the actual services delivered by each field are very different, many aspects of their environments are strikingly similar. Paradoxically, the humanitarians who care for some of the most vulnerable populations in the most hostile settings in the world are often not trained for the job. Most of the world's 450,000 humanitarian aid workers lack any formal training, certification, or professional identity. As the aid community grows and matures, there is an increasing awareness of the importance of professional development and the need for better research and evidence to advance the field. Within the wider aid community, the quality and accountability of aid are major new foci. Humanitarianism must evolve to better face the challenges of ever more complex humanitarian crises. I've grown as an ER doctor and as a humanitarian physician simultaneously, at a time when both fields have faced tremendous challenges and seen major improvements. As new crises emerge, our only appropriate response is to adapt and apply lessons we've learned to create new tools to make a better, more efficient relief world. The lives of our patients and the world's most vulnerable populations depend on it. The seeds for my work were sown early. Like any child, my interests were the product of a unique blend of influences and inspirations. In many ways, my childhood in St. John's, Michigan was typically American. But my parents and their journeys through life subtly led me toward both medicine and traveling the world. That voyage began with the numbers tattooed on my father's arms. My earliest impressions of the world outside of small-town Michigan came from my father. Johannes Joe VanRooyen was a Dutch immigrant and Holocaust survivor. Like all fathers, he told many stories of his boyhood and growing up. He had a rich library from which to draw, and my brother Rick and I spent many hours hearing about his early life in the Netherlands and the numerous colorful characters in my extended family. But for all the memories my father shared, he spoke little of the most impactful period of his life. His experience with the Dutch resistance and his imprisonment in Nazi concentration camps. The Nazi army invaded the Netherlands on May 10, 1940. After a 5-day campaign, a brutal occupation began. The German stranglehold on the Netherlands was severe, with the army intent on extracting resources and wealth to feed their war machine and, in the process, starving the country. My father and grandfather buried silverware and other valuables, even his beloved